acquainted with a book called the Tao Te Ching. And it's a Chinese book of philosophy written about 6 centuries before Jesus. And it's attributed to a philosopher named Lao Tzu. And it's not your typical book of religion, and maybe it's probably not even a religion, but it's a book of poetry that reflects a certain understanding of life. And it references back to this thing called the Tao. Some people try to interpret it as Jesus, the Word. Some people have tried to interpret it as the Force, and many people think George Lucas stole that idea from this book. But I've always thought of the Tao in many ways as the Spirit. And the Spirit is probably one of those things that we don't talk much about in our tradition, because we automatically go to our charismatic and Pentecostal friends, people speaking in tongues or being slain in the Spirit, hands up in the air, and that's just too weird for us. And you know that. But it's unfortunate we don't talk much about the Spirit. And so this is a chapter of the Tao Te Ching, and I think it speaks a lot to what the Spirit is. A man is born gentle and weak. As death, he is hard and stiff. Green plants are tender and filled with sap. At their death, they are withered and dry. Therefore, the stiff and unbending is the discipline of death. The gentle and yielding is the disciple of life. Thus, an army without flexibility never wins. A tree that is unbending is easily broken. The hard and strong will fall. The soft and weak will overcome. I always love the way that's written because it speaks so much about the importance of being flexible and being receptive. And I think really that is one of the key aspects of Pentecost, this 50th day of Easter, the end of the Paschal season that started way back on Ash Wednesday. This idea that the Spirit lives with us if we only allow ourselves to receive it and be open to its movement. I think too often all of us get stuck. We get stuck in our ways, stuck that life is a certain meaning or a certain purpose, and we just become stuck. And it's interesting, in Chinese philosophy, is the opposite in Western philosophy, is that the oak tree in the West is always thought to be this majestic tree of strength and power. But the oak tree in Chinese philosophy is automatically thought to be the opposite. It's a symbol of weakness. Because what happens with the oak tree, as we all know from last week's storms, it comes tumbling down and breaks. But the epitome of strength isn't the oak tree in the East. It's the bamboo or the willow that can bend and go with the breeze. And in that flexibility, there comes life. And that is maybe what we're really celebrating today in Pentecost. And it's, like I said, unfortunate that we in the West seem to relegate the Spirit to maybe this day every year. We wear our red and you look very Pentecostal. Or maybe a confirmation, and the Spirit gets popped on the bookshelf because we just don't know what to do with it. And like that reading from a Chinese text centuries ago, maybe we need to learn how to be open to the Spirit in a more perfect way, a more open way, a more flexible way. To realize what we started back on Ash Wednesday, the griminess of dust, ends with wind and fire on this day. And both wind and fire are two things that can't really be once they get started. And maybe that's what we should be thinking about as followers of Jesus in today's world. How are we open and receptive to the Spirit? Are we like an oak tree that is firmly planted, but so firmly planted that when something comes, we crumble? Are we like the willow or the bamboo that blows in the wind and is open to the movements of the Spirit in our world? I was once told that once you quit living, you start dying. And there's so much truth to that. And I know many of you might have numerical ages of 1, but you live a different life totally, and I know that, and that's so amazing to me. I also have friends who are on the numerical end of low, but are also just old and grumpy, so I can speak of that side too. So today, this Feast of Pentecost, then, the power of the Spirit is about being receptive to the Spirit. Because even though the physical body of Jesus is no longer with us, the Spirit is. And maybe we should talk about that Spirit more, being open and receptive to it. You know, the movement the priest does with his hands or her hands up is called the Orans position. I'm going to teach you a little Seminary 101 here today. And the reason why the priest does this is supposed to represent that you're receptive to the Spirit. And you can see these paintings in the catacombs. It goes way back to the earliest days of Christianity. That you're receptive to the Spirit. The time when the priest does this, and you see that over the Eucharistic prayer, is called the epiclesis, the sending forth of the Spirit. Lord, send your Spirit down upon these gifts to make them holy. But what's unique about our tradition, and our tradition comes not from the Roman Catholic tradition, but actually when Thomas Cranmer translated the Eucharistic prayer, he took it from the Syrian Orthodox. A little fun fact there. That we have what is called a double epiclesis. Lord, send your Spirit upon these gifts to make them holy. But then the phrase, send your Spirit upon these people to make them holy. And that's a uniquely Syrian tradition that we've incorporated into our English tradition. So that not only is the bread and wine changed every Sunday, but we're asked to be changed every Sunday. Sure, it might not be like the altar call that Billy Graham gave, or a Benny Hinn great slaying in the Spirit, a little bit more dramatic than what we do. But it's the same effect, that we're being asked to be changed every day by the Spirit. And that's the root of what this day is all about. I've prayed this prayer many times with you, and it's the prayer that we use on Good Friday and Easter Vigil, and yesterday during ordinations we used it as well. And I think it's a prayer that I pray probably way too often. But there's a reason I pray this prayer. And I think in many ways it's the culmination of this Paschal season. God of unchangeable power and eternal light, look favorably on your whole church, that wonderful and sacred mystery. By the effectual working of your providence, carry out in tranquility the plan of salvation. Let the whole world see and know that things which are cast down are being raised up, and things which had grown old are being made new, and that all things are being brought to their perfection by him through whom all things remain, your Son, Jesus Christ, our Lord.